guys have to listen to me now, but first off, I want to thank you guys for being with me here. The last hour of the day might be keeping you guys from going home, seeing the kids, seeing the loved ones, maybe night on the town, you never know. I just want to give you a heads up. If you see any smoke coming from over there, I set up an oil diffuser as you walked in. Being that we're talking about programming for the senses, I wanted to try and make it smell somewhat different in here, but should have probably brought a more powerful one and gotten here a little bit earlier. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. So my name is Matt Reiners. I'm a co-founder of Eversound and a VP of Customer Engagement, and really here to talk to you guys about today. I work with hundreds of communities across the country. I see different activity ideas, different programming ideas come out, and I just wanted to come here and share those with you. And I'm hoping at some point I can ask you guys as the audience what you guys are doing. I want to make this more interactive. Don't want to just be talking to you guys the entire time, because I get tired of my own voice, and I'm sure you guys do too. And we'll probably not go the whole hour here today too, so we can get you guys out here a little bit early. I know there's a storm coming or something, I've been told, so we can get out before that. So before we get into it, I want to do 2 truths and a lie. And if you were here yesterday, these are different from another presentation that I give. So I'll read them all out loud, and then from there we'll go around and just do a quick, hands raised of what you think is the lie. So I'm a big brother through big brother, big sister. Johnny Depp is my second cousin, and I ride a scooter to work. So by show of hands, who thinks number 1 is the lie? Good, 2 specific. Oh, 1 person. All right, okay. 2, Johnny Depp is my second cousin. Anyone think that's a lie? All right, more hands, more hands. I ride a scooter to work. Even my own teammates think that that's a lie. But it is number 2. So Johnny Depp is not my second cousin. We're not even related. I wouldn't probably know. I would know what he looked like on the street. But I am a big brother and big brother, big sister. I'm a big brother to a 12-year-old named Damien. He's awesome. We go to Celtics games together. I'm from Boston, by the way. Didn't grow up there, so I don't have the cool accent or anything. But yes, he's awesome. We like to go do things. We just went to the movies the other day. And I do, in fact, ride a scooter to work. And right now it's the push. I'm trying to get an electric one and kind of step up my game. So yeah, and it's cut off like 20 minutes of my walking commute in Boston. So it's great. So I know the theme of this conference is recharge. And we're probably all feeling a little, burnt out right now. I know I am. I had to wait for a trade show booth to come in yesterday. That came in 2 hours late, and I was freaking out and crying about that. So before we get into it, we're going to be using these headphones throughout the presentation at different points, whether to listen to music or listen to some other videos that we have going on. So before we really get into it, I wanted us to take a quick break to just check in with our bodies, and we're going to do a mindful breathing exercise. So this is about 3 minutes. So if we could all just put on the headphones, and you should be hearing me coming through, and you can adjust the volume on the side if you want to go louder or quieter. So this way you can really, focus into what you're doing. And if one of my teammates maybe could dim the lights a little bit. All right. So, and I just want to, you guys to take the time to just check in with your body, and we'll have someone else talk, because you don't want to hear me the entire time.
Can you adjust the volume? Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at the dial.
Is it playing? Okay.
Here, this one's loud now. Second.
Headphones off. Thank you. How do we feel? A little bit better after that? Chance to check in? Cool. I just want to get a sense of the room here and who we have here. So how many people out there would identify as like a programming director, activity professional, someone that's, day in and day out, doing these actual activities? Awesome. Well, I just want to give you guys a round of applause because I know how hard you guys work, and you guys are the true heroes in these communities. Everyone I talk to, and I fully believe that dining and activities are the most important part of a community, and know how important getting people out, getting people to socialize, being a part of the community. So I just want to say kudos to you guys and say hats and hands off to you guys, or hats off, not hands off. See, we don't take ourselves too seriously here. So. And one of the biggest things, and why I love programming, working with programming directors and activity professionals, is to really combat something that's really impacting a lot of senior living communities, and that is social isolation. And there's so many studies coming out now, and it's been such a hot topic, where I saw the other day the American Psychological Association said that social isolation will be a greater challenge to healthy aging than obesity. Think about that. It's amazing. And when you think about it, you're not able to participate, you kind of lose your sense of purpose, and it really impacts you that way. And another study that I saw was the AARP said prolonged social isolation is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, that's why I wanted to talk with you guys here today and kind of explore some different activities and programs that I've seen to really make a happier resident, drive those smiles and really help that person. So I'm sure a lot of you, when you're thinking about programming and activities, you're kind of looking at, the pillars of wellness or elements of wellness. Show of hands, how many of you guys are thinking about that when you're putting programming together? Do you? Okay, cool. So these are definitely important. These are awesome. What I find with a company that specializes in helping people here, there's almost something below this, and it really comes down to the senses. And the senses are being impacted as we get older as well. So, just a refresher on the 5 senses. So we have vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And before, we hop into it, I'm really hoping we have some gifts for you guys. So I wanted to have our team here pass those out. But don't open them yet because there's something related to the senses in all of them. I can help too if we need. You guys got it? Cool.
We love gifts.
Yeah. That's what you guys get for coming to the last thing of the day too. So.
Smells good.
Might be the oil diffuser finally picking up. Yeah. Do I need the mic? Can you guys hear me all right? All right, cool. I'll just take this thing off here.
You got us ready to take a nap now.
Yeah, hey. Just lulling you to sleep. But we'll end it with a little bit more exciting stuff. So, cool. Everyone kind of got something here. So, what I'm hoping to do, as we go through these different senses, is kind of share with you guys some interesting facts about them. Kind of talk about them as we get older and what happens to them as we age. And then I also want to explore some different programming ideas that I've seen work. And then I'm hoping to open it up to the audience so you guys can kind of share some of your thoughts on what you've seen be successful out there. So, first and foremost, scent. One of the most powerful things. People can detect at least 1 trillion distinct scents. Scientists thought that the human nose could only detect about 10,000 different smells, but that information was based on a very old study and outdated. There's actually a group at Rockefeller University that tested people's sense of smell by using different mixtures of odor molecules, and the results were actually published in the Journal of Science and showed that the nose can at least have 1 trillion distinct scents. I don't even want to know what they smelled during that, but I can only imagine there's probably some really great things and some not so nice things. So according to a study, some of the most pleasurable or pleasant scents include orange scents, cinnamon, crayons, and cookies. I don't think you can ever go wrong with cookies. That baking, that fresh sense of smell. And actually, so I found this amazing. You can actually smell fear and disgust. And I want to make sure I get this right. So you can actually smell the feelings of fear and disgust through sweat. And when you experience the same emotions, and this came out in a 2012 study in psychological science, researchers collected sweat from men as they watched movies that caused these feelings. To remain odor neutral from the sweat test, the men used scent-free products and quit smoking and using alcohol. Women participants then completed visual search tests while unknowingly smelling the sweaty samples. The woman's eye movements and facial expressions were recorded during this time, and the researchers found that women who smelled fear sweat opened their eyes widely in a fearful expression, and women who smelled the disgust sweat also displayed facial expressions of disgust. So, yeah, did you know that? It's so wild. I was going through some of these different stuff and just find it amazing. So scent, as we age, so your sense of smell can also diminish, especially after the age of 70, and it may be related to loss of nerve endings and less music production in the nose. And the loss of smell actually may signal future illnesses. So I found this really interesting, but they were basically saying to decrease sense of smell may be an early sign of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. There's 2 studies that were presented at an Alzheimer's Association conference a couple of years ago, and a reduced ability to identify scents was associated with brain cell function loss and advancement to Alzheimer's disease. And another thing I found really interesting with smell as we get older is decline in smell may predict death within 5 years. And what they said was a recent study published in the journal PLOS ONE found that a decreased ability to identify scents may predict death within 5 years. And the study looked at more than 3,000 Americans aged 57 to 85 and found that people unable to identify scents like rose, orange, and peppermint were more than 3 times as likely to die in the next 5 years. I'm not a doctor, I can't explain the why, I can just share this with you guys, but that's amazing, with one of your senses here and what that really, can gauge. So I want to kind of touch on the programming ideas for scent. So aromatherapy seems to be the only thing I could really find out there in terms of what people were using. And come on in, we won't bite. Yeah, we have gifts for you too. Gifts in the headphones. Yeah. Recharge, hashtag. So aromatherapy. So I've seen people use essential oils, spices and herbs, fresh flowers. They're sampling different perfumes, and I've seen different smelling bottles. And I'm curious for the programming directors or community members out there, what else are you guys doing for smells or for scent? Any thoughts? Popcorn, that's a good one. Baking, yeah, that's a good one. I want to take notes and write these in there.
We're using crock pots with different fruits in them.
Crock pots with fruits in them. Okay, that's cool. Herb gardening, all right.
Lotions and hand massages.
Lotions and hand massages, love it. Anything else? Cool. Well, I appreciate those you who answered. So now we'll get to the first gift that I have for you guys. It's probably the smallest thing in your bag. Yeah, I'll take one too. I'll show you guys. So it's probably at the very bottom, but there is a little bottle, and it's a happiness aroma. Don't spray this on direct skin. You'll want to dilute this a little bit. This is actually what we have in the bottle over there. But I wanted to give you guys a little something here. And yeah, you guys can open it. I mean, you don't want to spray it on you, but you can kind of get a whiff of it. And it smells pretty good. I always put this on. My girlfriend and I always put this on in our house. So happiness. And I'll come around and I'll spray it at the ground. I won't spray it on anyone, but you can
see if it works.
So happiness. You guys probably saw what else is in that little bag, but it's all good. So we move on and we talk about vision. So with vision, what we find is that an interesting thing that I see is that 80% of vision problems worldwide are avoidable or even curable. I think a lot of that comes with sight. I think that's where that thing is around. And I see people are already getting some of the other ones. Yeah. You blink about 12 times every minute. Newborns don't produce tears. They make crying sounds, but the tears don't start flowing until they're about 4 to 13 weeks old. And I bring that up because, as we age, aging eyes also don't produce enough tears. So, this leads to dry eyes. When dry eyes are not treated, infection, inflammation, and scarring of the cornea can occur. And you can relieve dry eyes by using eye drops or artificial tears. And I know my grandmother struggled with this. She lived to be 93. She passed away last year, but I know, she struggled with this herself. As you age, it gets harder to tell blues from greens than it is to tell from reds and yellows. Use warm, contrasting colors, yellow, orange, and red in your community. It can improve your ability to see. Keeping a red light in darkened rooms, such as a hallway or a bathroom, can actually make it easier than using a regular nightlight. As you age, you might be less able to tolerate glare. So for example, glare from a shiny floor in a sunlit room can make it difficult to get around indoors, and you may have trouble adapting to the darkness or the bright light. And actually, as you get older, the cornea becomes less sensitive, so you might not notice eye injuries as much. By the time you turn 60, your pupils may decrease to about 1/3 of the size they were when you were 20. The pupils may react more slowly in response to darkness or bright light. The lens become yellowed, less flexible, and slightly cloudy. And the fat pads supporting the eyes decrease, and the eyes sink into their sockets, and the eye muscles become less able to fully rotate the eye. So when I was asking some of our communities and seeing these in action, some of the programming ideas for sight, armchair travel seems to be a really popular one. There's a thing called Aerial America on, on PBS, I believe, or one of those channels, and it's usually like a 45 to 60 minute long presentation with all aerial shots that's narrated throughout. You can find them online for free. I used to travel around and do these virtual vacations with our headphones where people would listen to it through that. I actually saw some really cool experiences where one specifically, we took a trip to Hawaii, and they actually gave everyone leis as they walked into the room, and they gave them flight tickets because it felt like an aerial, experience, like they were flying over through a helicopter. And they were also, I think they had pina coladas going too. So, we had a good time, definitely. Visual documentaries. So, one of the things that I've really seen to be really powerful as well is like the shows like Planet Earth. You can find all these on Netflix, and there's some awesome shots in there, of different wildlife and different animals. And I think Netflix is something that's starting to get used more, but there's also awesome documentaries that, are engaging, that do provide valuable content that I think a lot of people are just eager to watch. And I remember hearing about a community that was watching the documentary about Queen Elizabeth, and they absolutely loved that. They would do that, they had a night every week where everyone would come together and watch that documentary together. So it's just cool things I've seen like that. Visiting a local landmark. I live in Boston's North End, so I live right around the corner from the Old North Church. And I saw a community actually up there the other day, a memory care community that was visiting and going inside and outside the church, and just seeing a lot of these old landmarks I found to be really powerful. Scenic tours, always great. I know of a community that took a scenic tour around Detroit, which I don't know how scenic that is, but they said they had a great time. And I hear it from, sorry for anyone that's from Michigan, I've heard it's nice there. We shouldn't be, but I find that to be really powerful as well. And I'm sure you guys are doing a lot of that. And then another thing I've seen for sight has been virtual reality, which is getting more and more attention. If you guys want any tips or tricks on good people that do VR, I know a bunch of companies that do it. Happy to introduce you guys to that. But I've seen that to be really amazing for some people. For some others, it's almost too much, where they get dizzy. I know myself. I can't only do it for so long, just because the sensory deprivation almost. You feel like you're falling at times. And I remember I was actually at a booth at another senior living conference next to a VR team, and they had a guy put it on, and all of a sudden a puma jumped out at him, and he swung at it and almost hit me. I had a duck. I'm curious for you guys, I want to open it up to you, and I'm hoping people can walk away with some inspiration for some new ideas. But what are you guys doing in terms of programming for sight?
I actually will say that we do the virtual reality.
Okay.
We actually have gotten it through our Arlington Heights library.
Oh, okay.
Volunteer
Through the library.
They're
Oh, that's a
starting
good
to
tip.
do it now too.
Really? Very cool. I hadn't heard that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's free.
Nice. What sort of like content are you watching on the
They
VR?
do travel stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we've gone to other countries, sat on the beach.
Nice.
They've done a lot of things. So we incorporate, food tasting into it if we go to a certain country,
Awesome.
and gotten staff involved as well.
Awesome. Anybody else? I think we had someone else back there.
Well, we do balloon volleyball, and we have a volleyball net that we put up in a cluster of balloons, one helium balloon and then like 3 with air. And people who don't normally open their eyes that much, they're watching it come at them, and
Awesome.
they're always using this hand. Oh, hey, can you use both hands next time? But
Yeah.
they really seem to notice that.
Yeah. Do you use like any distinct colors or anything, or is it like I'm just curious?
Yeah, they're mixed colors.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll ask them afterwards, can you remember what the colors were of the balloons?
Yeah.
Which color was the one that had the helium? Could you tell? And things like that.
Awesome. Very cool. Yes, in the back.
In addition to the ball, we used a parachute and opened up the little handles all the way around. And the rise and fall, even putting the ball on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys for being so receptive and like talking about it. Sometimes I get with crowds that won't even utter a peep, so thank you. So in your bag, you do have a pair of, they're not Ray-Bans, but they are sunglasses. So, if we ever see the sun, if spring ever decides to show up, or summer, feel free to have at it with those. So as we move along here, touch. So here, this was probably some of the most fascinating stuff that I found in terms of like factual information when it comes to touch. So like incidental touch can help form our impressions of people's character. So there is an experiment where people were holding either a cold iced drink or a hot drink when meeting someone. And those with a hot drink literally rated the people they met as warmer, as in having a more pro-social personality. They didn't rate them better overall, say as smarter and more confident. They just rated them as warmer. So I wish I'd given you guys all hot drinks as you walked in here, but we can work on that after. There was another famous study in which people evaluated others' resumes on a clipboard, and if they were on a heavy clipboard rather than a really light one, they were rated as having more gravitas, more authority. And once again, people didn't think they were smarter or better team players or things like that. Just the weight made the difference, and it's like that touch. Another thing I found was interesting was, there was a study that showed how touch influences performance. So there was a study of NBA players that showed teams who engaged in more fist bumps, high fives, chest bumps, leaping shoulder bumps, chest punches, head slaps, head grabs, low fives, high tens, full hugs, half hugs, and team huddles perform better individually and as a team. So you might have thought that was like MMA fighting or something with all the things that they were describing. But so like researchers watched an entire season of basketball and recorded every time that teammates made any intentional physical contact. And the results showed that touchy teams tend to be more cooperative and more successful. I know correlation doesn't mean causation in this case, and you can say if someone's winning, they probably are giving more high fives and stuff. But it's just interesting to see as that team dynamic comes out, how that can really affect people. So touch as we age. So, studies have shown it seems as though we all lose touch receptors over the course of our lives. It's not like we have them until a certain age and they suddenly disappear. We lose them very, very slowly, and they peak around age 16 or 18 and then disappear slowly over time. As you get older, you may also lose pain and temperature receptors, which might actually be a good thing. It may be that when you're older, you might not feel as much surface pain in your skin. Another one, one of the things that I was reading about was saying how this may also be one of the factors that leads, to the elderly falling, where we stay upright in part because of the sensations at the bottom of our feet, and we get less of that information as we get older. And of course, when we age, sensations may be reduced or changed. These changes can occur because of decreased blood flow to the nerve endings or to the spinal cord or brain. And I want to touch on a couple ideas that I've seen. So gardening is definitely good. I know we've talked about herb gardenings. I think with a lot of these programs, you can incorporate many different senses. But cooking, sensory box, pottery, hand massages, therapy pets. We actually had one of our communities we helped with had a picture of her and an alpaca, which I wish an alpaca would come to my community, and origami. So I'm curious, I want to open it up to you guys for different ideas when it comes to touch. Yes.
Scalp massage.
Scalp massage. Oh, have you guys ever seen those one things? Oh my gosh, I have one of those, and it's
That's my new favorite.
oh my gosh, it is like overwhelmingly nice. It's crazy. It's like, I don't know if you guys seen it, it's kind of like an octopus that comes down and you like go up and down. You get them like 10, 15 bucks, like not even that expensive. And I just get chills whenever I do it. Any other ideas for touch?
Along with scalp massagers, we have little handheld, just regular neck massagers
Yeah.
that can be on their hand or whatever, and usually puts a smile on their face.
Yeah.
May even go to sleep, but they're not in pain, so they seem to enjoy it.
Awesome.
What about just hand holding?
Hand holding, yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, I think that's really important. Just like to have that physical indicator that someone's there, Yeah, no, that's definitely important.
The sensory is really important, like the different textures and the different
Yeah.
feelings and hands,
Yeah, I've seen.
especially for behavioral expressions.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's really important. I've seen people when they're doing like music therapy, they'll give them different things and they'll be touching it throughout, and it's definitely very important.
We have weighted blankets or like a weighted shoulder wrap.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen for touch too. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Hasbro has these dogs and cats
Oh, yeah.
that are animatronics that you can turn on, and they make noises and stuff. I actually took a video of me holding a dog that I got that was moving and tried to fake everyone out, all my friends, that I got a dog, but it had a piece of pizza in front of his face and it didn't eat it, so everyone was like, that's not real. But any other ideas for touch? Yes, in the back.
Depending on your pocket.
Yeah.
I used to use crossbreed little bags and put a key in there or paper clip. Count these things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sensitive touch.
Yeah.
Identify it, not say.
Yeah, for sure.
What are those pillows called that we use? They have like the zip, they have the zippers and then have the different things on them.
The activity apron, like pillow.
Yeah.
Busy boxes.
Busy boxes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I think someone brought up a good point when you're thinking of the different levels of care where you're doing. Some of these might be better for residents living with dementia, and some activities might be better for the more independent side. But I think a lot of this stuff is still important for everybody. But yeah, so I tend to wander when I'm talking, so I get away from my computer here. So one of my favorite things that's in your bag is, and I saw some people grab it, but it is this squishy eyeball.
That is the best.
Yeah.
I know, I'm extremely happy.
Yeah, and I do have to say, we have these in our office. Don't throw them at the ceiling because they won't come down. All right? They will leave a mark.
It's like the best thing ever.
Yeah. And my card's in there, so if you guys want links to any of these, I think I got 50 of these for $5 or $10. So you can just email me, and I can send you the link to any of this stuff too.
Is this you right here?
No, there's a small card. That's
Yeah,
for
there's a smaller
Eversound.
one.
Oh, okay.
Cool, so moving on. Taste. So taste is always very important. You want to make sure you're tasting good things. So a lot of people grew up believing the tongue had 4 taste zones, one each for sweet, sour, salty, and bitter, but it's actually not the case. These tastes, along with a fifth taste called umami, which is savory, can be sensed in all parts of the tongue. The sides of the tongue are more sensitive overall than the middle, and the back of the tongue is more sensitive to bitter taste. Taste buds were designed to keep us alive. So taste buds have helped us evolve as humans. In the beginning, the sense of taste helped us test the foods we ate. If it was bitter and sour, it might indicate poisonous plants or rotting foods. The back of our tongue is sensitive to bitter taste, so we can spit out poisonous or spoiled foods before we swallow them. Sweet and salty taste let us know foods are rich in nutrients. One of the more interesting things that I found was your tongue can get fat. So if you get fat, so does your tongue. The human tongue has a high percentage of fat, and there's a correlation between tongue fat volume and obesity. A study in the journal that has showed that people showed that having a larger tongue with higher levels of fat might be a risk factor for obstructive sleep apnea, and in some cases, sleep disorder, in which a person repeatedly stops and starts breathing while sleeping. I know my mom struggles with that, and she's got a face mask now. It kind of looks like Darth Vader, but it helps her, so that's all that matters. She'll probably never let me down that I told her that, so let's keep that between us. All right, thank you. Another interesting thing I found was that your tongue can say a lot about your health. So a tongue can actually provide clues about your overall health. A bright red tongue may be a sign of folic acid or B12 deficiency, scarlet fever, or Kawasaki disease, and a serious condition seen in children. White spots or white coating on the tongue could indicate oral thrush, a type of yeast infection.
Yeah.
A black hairy tongue can be a sign of bacterial overgrowth. It can also occur in people with diabetes or those in antibiotics or chemotherapy, and painful bumps on the tongue may be canker sores. And I've heard somewhere that a cut in your mouth is the quickest thing to heal because that saliva helps to help with that.